Welcome back, children. I welcome you back in lecture number 3 of chapter number 2, First World War and Russian Revolution. In the previous two lectures, we have seen about two main topics. The first one was Western European and colonialism in Asia and Africa. We saw about how Western European countries colonized Asia and Africa. We saw the two topics into it was colonialism in Asia and colonialism in Africa. We also saw about factors that caused First World War. We know that First World War happened in the year 1914, and what were the main factors. So in that we saw the economic factors related to money, militarism, groupism and secret treaties, and fourth was fear feeling of fierce nationalism. So these four factors were there which we studied in the last lecture. Now we are going to study further related to the factors of First World War, which factors caused the First World War. Okay, so we'll continue with that. The fifth point is role of newspapers. The newspapers of European nations arose so much hatred among people with their mutual derogatory provocative and exaggerated false write-ups. See, this all words adjectives which are used. Okay, mutual, then derogatory is insulting, provocative which provokes, and exaggerated which are more than what is actually there, and false write-ups by spitting venom. See, they used to write such kind of things which made countries against each other, and due to that what happened is that created an atmosphere for the world war, for the war. Actually it was not known world war, it was known as great war at that time against rival nations. See, okay, the newspapers published very derogatory news. You can see here I have posted some of the pictures. War, such kind of highlight were put into the news so that people get provoked and they start having a fight against each other, that the rulers of the respective nation could not even make efforts to establish peace. See, they would try to make peace but it was very hard for them. Next important point that helped in starting of the First World War was philosophy about war. At that time people believed, what did the great writer believed? See, the policy of war is welfare. War is welfare took root in Europe. Okay, in Europe this particular mentality, this particular theory was existing, that if you don't fight you will not exist, and fight or war is the only way of getting peace. The German writer Trotsky, Leon Trotsky, here is the photograph. Maxim means gave the quote like only the mighty deserve to live. Say, even big writers, great writers started giving such kind of quotations. Only mighty deserve to live means if there is war, only those people who are very powerful deserve to live. And war alone is the national need. See, such kind of slogans were given by Trotsky. While Nietzsche, Friedrich Nietzsche, a German writer, okay, Friedrich Nietzsche, the German writer, expressed war as a sacred work. What he told, that war is a sacred work. Sacred work means work for God. Work for God. Okay, work for God. And you will be surprised, okay, that such kind of slogans created a very high impact in the mind of the people. It created a very huge impact in the mind of the people. One of the other reasons, or rather the main reason, now this all six factors were actually, you can say, the spark plugs but the real spark was provided by this particular incident. Now what happened? See, during this particular time in 1914, the Prince of Austria, okay, this person, his name was Archduke Francis Ferdinand, right? Archduke Francis Ferdinand and his wife both were on a visit. Both were on a visit, okay, into one of the countries, and they were assassinated. Now understand this word: assassinated means killing, murder. When a murder of a political person is done, it is known as assassination. Were assassinated by being shot at the members of Serbian terrorist organization Black Hand. See, there was one terrorist group. The name of that was Black Hand, and it was from the country Serbia. They took the responsibility of killing uh, Francis Ferdinand and his wife. Now Austria blamed Serbia for the involvement in the act and gave ultimatum to hand over the culprit of to Austria. So they said that if you will not give us the person, then we will be having a issue. Okay, we will be having an issue, and they gave an ultimatum of just 48 hours. Serbia declared its ignorance in the matter. Serbia said that we are not concerned, it's a terror group and it's totally a illegal group, and we are not knowing about the factors. Without listening to anything about Serbia, so Austria, not Australia. Austria was very furious at the time, and they did not listen anything from Serbia. Austria declared a war. See, Austria declared a war on Serbia, and due to this particular incident, okay, the First World War started. The First World War started, and this happened on 28th July 1914. 28th July 1914. So this, you can say, this was the sparking incident, or the main incident due to which the First World War started. This person, right? This person is the person killed who killed the Archduke Francis Ferdinand. Here is the you can say, here is the photograph of Francis Ferdinand and his wife. Now the First World War. Now the First World War. The First World War. Okay. Now you need to understand that before the Second World War started in 1939, this particular war was known as Great War and not as First World War. Okay, later on, when Second World War actually started, the name First World War was given. In First World War, 24 nations supported the Allied nations and 4 nations supported the Axis nation. Axis is here central. Okay, now the war was fought into groups: Allied powers and Central powers. Initially, Germany made noteworthy victories in Europe. See, Germany was very powerful and made victories into Europe. It ruined the French army. Okay, it destroyed almost the French army, right? It fought many submarines. Now you need to remember the war that took place. Okay, that war that took place way back, the Treaty of Frankfurt. If you remember, we had already seen into the previous lectures, the Treaty of Frankfurt, where French had defeated Germany, and it had humiliated it. So Germany wanted to take a revenge, and that's why they ruined French army. It fought many submarines wars and destroyed the ship of allied nations. So they were very good at submarines, underwater fighting equipments. Many soldiers and civilians died because of tanks and poisonous gases. Okay, this you need to remember. A lot of people died due to it. Now in 1979, the Russian Revolution started. So Russia withdrew from war. We know about this. Okay, and we are going to study about it to the later chapters. In 1917, the Russian Revolution or the Bolshevik Revolution started, and due to that, Russia withdrew. Russia did not continue the fight. Germany was very strong at that time. See, Germany was very strong. It managed to drown. Now it was attacking anyone. Now you need to remember, America was not into the war. America was not into the war till 1917. Till 1917, America was not into the war. But Germans destroyed one of the British ship, Lusitania. Now in that ship there were 147 American soldiers that died, and due to this American wanted to take revenge, and that's why they entered the war. This is the photograph of Lusitania, the ship, passenger ship Lusitania, which was downed by the Germans, and due to this the America entered into the war. See, consequently, America joined the Allied nations in April 1917. See, till April 1917, America was not into the war, but they joined later on. They joined. With that, countries like Panama, Greece, Cuba, China, and Siam joined the Allied nations too. Now, as America joined an Allied nation, it made the nation stronger, Allied nation stronger. German army could not withstand American troops. Germany could not fight against the Americans because they were more mightier, they were more stronger. The whole position of war changed. Now the table turned and Allied powers were suddenly very powerful. Bulgaria in September 1980, Turkey and Austria in October 1980 joined the Allied nations. These countries also joined the Allied nation in 1918. The German leader Kaiser abdicated his position and ran away. He left his position and ran away because he knew that he cannot fight against the mighty US and the Allied nation. And ultimately, Germany surrendered to Allied nation and signed a ceasefire treaty, and war came to an end. See, okay, so ultimately, Germany had to sign a treaty, and the war ended. In the war, see, right? When US entered the war, such kind of newspapers cuttings were there. Okay, this is a very famous slogan. This is a very famous slogan of Uncle Sam. This is a very famous slogan of Uncle Sam. You might have seen this at many places. And due to this particular reason, due to America entering into the war, the Allied nation became powerful, and ultimately Germany had to surrender. Now let us see what were the main effects of the First World War. What were the main effects of First World War? Immediate effects. The first was destruction of men and material. Destruction was, you can see, the second name of the World War. Approximately 6.5 crore people took part in the war. At least 1 crore died and 2 crore were injured, and about 17 lakh were rendered permanently handicapped. These numbers are huge. Okay, out of 6.5 crore people, almost 1 crore died, 2 crore were injured, and 70 lakh were permanently handicapped. More number of people died because of starvation. See, after the war also, a lot of people died due to starvation. Starvation is hunger. Starvation is hunger. And other forms of killing and epidemics that broke out after the war. Say, the total expenditure was quite high. You can see here the photographs of building destroyed and graveyards. Social change. What were the social changes? During the war, since majority of the men of all nations were on war front, women shouldered the responsibility of family and occupation. See, the society changed. Women were now becoming more prominent. They stepped out of their houses and successfully took the responsibility of different professional fields. The self-confidence of being equivalent to men enhanced. So they also were now getting a chance to show their strength, and they became equivalent to the men. Consequently, the demand for women to exercise their franchise was raised. Franchise here means the voting right. Franchise is voting right. During the war, the production of things of basic need had to reduce. Basic things reduce, and more stress was put on production of weapons. So problems like scarcity, unemployment and starvation, strikes, lockout, etc. raised its head. People suffered a lot and children conditions were pathetic. So due to the war, each and every section of the society was suffering. It may be men, women, old, children, poor, rich, everyone was affected, and due to it, war had made a great impact on everyone's life. The third is Treaty of Versailles. Now this is a very important point. Treaty of Versailles, June 1919. Versailles is a place, okay, in France. At the end of the First World War, the unconditional surrender of Germany, now we know that Germany had to surrender in front of the Allied nations, brought an end to the war. Now here the word unconditional is used. Unconditional means without any condition. It had to surrender. Whatever conditions the rival nations put, Germany has to accept it. Then the Allied nations undertook the peace process. Okay, they saw that after First World War there should be no fighting, so the Paris peace process was taken into consideration. In that, 58 commissions were formed and 145 sessions were organized. The agreement was made with Germany during peace process was made in Mirror Palace of Versailles. The agreement with Germany was made into Mirror Palace of Versailles, and it is known as Paris Peace Process. Treaty signed. See, treaty signed. Okay, Wilson leaves Paris, sailing Sunday. Germany pledged to act in good faith. Germany was asked to be very good into the future. Thus, it came out to be known as Versailles. That's why it was known as Versailles Treaty. There were 4 provisions in the treaty. See, 4 things were main thing. There were a lot of things, but these 4 things were the main concentration of the whole treaty. First, regional arrangement. Okay. Second, regional arrangement means those countries have won the areas should give it back. First of all, okay. Second, reduction in troops and disarmament. Second, the army should be reduced. Third, the arrangement of distribution of gains at the end of the war. Okay, at the end of the war, those countries which have won other countries should be given back or should be retained. That all decisions are to be taken, and war fine and other provisions. These were the 4 things that were into the Versailles Treaty mean. Now the American President Woodrow Wilson, the British Prime Minister Lord George, French Prime Minister Clemenceau, and Italian President Orlando played an important role. Okay, this all ministers, this all people were very important for it. Germany was found responsible. Now you can understand that as Germany surrendered, so it was found responsible for this war. A war fine of 6.5 billion pound was imposed on Germany. 6.5 billion pounds was imposed on Germany. Right? It had to give away Ruhr region to France. Now again, remember the Frankfurt Treaty. Okay, Germany had taken France, regions of France. Now France is taking regions of Germany, so it is taking Ruhr region of Germany. In Rhine River, it had opened for international sea route. See, Rhine River was open for sea route. The Rhineland region of on French border was disallowed for being a fortress, as well as mineral rich region was given away to France for 15 years. See, France took the revenge, right, and it humiliated Germany as Germany had humiliated France in the past. Most German organizations were confiscated. See, most of the political parties into Germany and other organizations were disallowed. Alsace and Lorraine were to be returned to France. These were the regions that were taken to France were to be returned. Besides this, Germany was given to France and allied nations a large quantity of coal and iron annually as the benefit of the war. They had to pay this coal and iron to the allied nation as a part of annuity, right, and as a benefit of war. Germany was made to sign terms and conditions on gunpoint. Gunpoint means forcefully. Because of this, there was bitterness and depression among Germans. Germans did not like it, and one person did not like it more than others. His name was Adolf Hitler, that we are going to study into the future chapters. Consequently, the German economy failed miserably. The economic condition of Germany was miserable. Right? You can see these political cartoons here. Germany, here is the chancellor. Germany is asked to sign this treaty without looking at it. And the reparations are the war fine, that is to be paid. Right, that was 6.5 billion pounds. That is a huge amount, and you can see Germany buried under the reparations. Now there was a turning point in it. Okay, see what are the long-term effects. There was a feeling of revenge in signing the treaty with the nations that were defeated in the war. Okay, they wanted revenge. Peace could not be established with treaty. Socialist Russia was not given place in League of Nations. Now League of Nations was formed in 1919, but Russia was not given a place into it. America did not join. America did not join League of Nations. Actually, League of Nations was a brainchild of President of America, but America did not join it. Okay, that's why it can be said that the reasons for Second World War was in peace process of First World War, and due to this all reasons, the First World War actually became the reason for the Second World War. Now here in this political pattern you can see here there is a banner saying this League of Nations bridge was designed by the President of USA. Okay, here all the countries are joining: Belgium, France, England, Italy, but USA is not joining. USA is not joining, and it is staying away from. Why it is staying from away from it? Because it wanted to take advantage of the situation, and that's why it stayed away and did not join it. And without this keystone, this particular stone is known as keystone because it holds the bridge. Without this keystone, which has to be put into the center, this bridge cannot be complete. And that's why, as America did not join it, so League of Nations failed miserably in the future.